Okay, let's do this. Gygus versus Sonic the Hedgehog. Most of the Sonic lasers out there would think that Gygus would lose. Gygus is so powerful that he corrupted his own universe. His corruption sparked so much fear that Buzz had to go back in time and warn Ness of Gygus. It took Paula and the player and the entire world in universe to pray for his defeat. That's how powerful he is. They needed to break the fourth wall in order to do so. And Gygus, when you look at his appearance, there's no physical body. Geeg, from like Earthbound Beginnings, he has a physical body, so you could harm him. Sonic could actually beat Geeg, but he can't beat Gygus. Did I even neglect to mention that Gygus' attacks couldn't even be comprehended? So the tier that Gygus would probably be is multiversal or universal, because he did take down his own reality in another timeline. So therefore, the only way to beat Gygus is Chaos Control on Archie level. I'm sorry guys, Gygus wins. Alright, let's do this. Raiden E versus Sonic the Hedgehog. When it comes to speed, Sonic has Raiden outclassed in every way possible. But Raiden E can go Mach 5, hypersonic speeds. Let's talk about the gods these two characters have gone up against. I was recently told Raiden E has taken down 2 gods, and this contributes to 2 of her biggest feats. She managed to kill Okabashi from such a long distance. Covering that entire distance, she cut that entire snake in half. And look at the massive gorge that was left behind after the attack. What is left behind in that ravine is electro energy, which is scary because if you go in it, you're dead. When it comes to slaying gods, Sonic has slain Solaris, The End, Perfect Chaos, and Dark Gaia. If it comes to endurance, Raiden E has probably the edge in this. She managed to fight off her clone for 500 years in the Euphorium realm. I'm all in for female empowerment. Sadly, it is an absolute slaughterhouse. Sonic the Hedgehog wins. Let's do this. Godzilla Earth versus Sonic the Hedgehog. First of all, Godzilla is 300 meters tall. Sonic has struggled against Giganto in his base, and when he stomps, Sonic is flown into the air. What happens if Godzilla does that? Godzilla's skin is incredibly tough and hard to penetrate. This allows him to absorb extreme damage for long periods of time. Godzilla's famous atomic breath can severely burn Sonic. If he's not careful, if he avoids it with his speed, Sonic may stand a chance. In Sonic Colors, Sonic ran away from an artificial black hole. It's nothing compared to what GE took out. He blew out an entire black hole that was more powerful than an artificial black hole. Did I neglect to mention that Godzilla has an energy shield that actually protects him? There is a way to exploit this weakness, but even then it is such a small little gap, and I doubt that Sonic has any knowledge of this. And what's worse is that he infected the entire ecosystem. There's too many feats for Godzilla Earth. Godzilla Earth wins. Let's do this. Super Mario vs Sonic the Hedgehog. Mario has a whole arsenal of power-ups. The one that stands out the most is the Star power-up, which gives Mario 15 seconds of invulnerability until he returns back to base. A power-up that can be really useful is the Red Star. He must keep his arms out so he can fly properly, but how can he do that when he's fighting against a super-powered hedgehog? If Mario can fly, that's a great benefit. It's a huge risk while fighting against Sonic. Now let's get into Mario's feats. In Super Mario World, he once kicked a castle right out into orbit as a gag reflux. He just kicks it out into orbit! Mario's greatest feat was defeating Bowser multiple times, even during the events of Galaxy 1 and 2. Mario was able to survive the entire collapse of a universe, making him universal or maybe multiversal. When it comes down to a fist fight, Mario's really good at martial arts. In the end, you can't hit what you can't see, therefore making it an absolute slaughterhouse. Sonic the Hedgehog wins.
Too easy!
Let's do this. Queen of the entire universe, Rosalina versus Sonic the Hedgehog. Just like Mario himself, Rosalina can use a variety of power-ups. They can't really do much to Sonic the Hedgehog, sadly. Rosalina can summon a force field that can withstand 155,000 newtons of impact force by Mario and Luigi's ground pounding, or whatever you want to call it. Rosalina can move her cosmic observatory at the speed of light to the center of the universe. She could probably do this herself if she really wanted to. Rosalina has immortality as she has existed for 100 years. This is proven by the opening of Super Mario Galaxy, as the Cosmic Observatory appears every 100 years. She still maintains a youthful appearance. Undoubtedly, Rosalina's best feat is resetting the entire universe of the Mario continuity. Rosalina has the ability to destroy the entire universe and recreate it with the help of the Lumas, but that's pretty much arbitrary. Rosalina can also increase her size as she appears to Mario. And she probably has a bunch of powers that we just don't know about. Rosalina could simply just erase Sonic from existence if she so wanted to. With that being said, Rosalina wins. Let's do this. SCP-2747 versus all Sonics. When I say Sonics, I mean SEU Sonic, Game Sonic, and Archie Sonic. All of them teaming up to defeat this one anomaly. SCP-2747 is so powerful she exists outside of the fourth wall. It can affect layers of narrative. So for example, if a character writes a story within a story, that anomaly will destroy that story. She'll head to the writer's world and destroy it. SCP-2747 is boundless in tier ranking. She can manifest herself as a villain like Dr. Eggman or any other villain in the Sonic series, and eventually kill off Sonic one by one if she so wanted to. The only way I can see all three Sonics winning is if they had a coordinated attack on her. Both Sonics will lose their lives to 2747, either by dying from exhaustion or dying at her hands. And that's putting it nicely. These Sonics cannot win against something that exists outside of the fourth wall. Upon its manifestation in that certain reality, it will instantly destroy it. That's just how powerful it is. It's even quoted here. I don't see any other way that the Sonics could win. SCP-2747 wins. Alright, let's do this. How powerful is Nazo? Nazo easily outclassed Team Sonic and then later Shadow, which used a gun for some reason. Once Sonic turns into Super Sonic, he holds his own against Super Sonic but struggles against Super Shadow. It's not until Lightspeed, Super Sonic, and Shadow put up a good fight against Nazo, even making him struggle. And even then, he regenerated after that. It wasn't until he used the negative power of the Chaos Emerald to transform into Perfect Nazo. He was able to tank both Super Sonic and Super Shadow with relative ease. He even managed to stop Chaos Control with secondary control. Perfect Nazo even managed to tank a Chaos Blast from Shadow and still survive, claiming that he was the ultimate life form. He pushed Sonic and Shadow so much to the point they had to turn Hyper. Eventually they fused into Hyper Shadow. Nazo can reach another transformation known as Hyper Perfect Nazo by using the new reservoir of negative energy from the Super Emeralds, and even goes as far to overwhelm him in a giant beam clash. He almost claims victory until Hyper Knuckles stops him and being completely destroyed by Shadow's energy blast, and somehow his negative energy still kept him intact. It was there that Shadow finally finished him off by taking the negative energy away from him, making Hyper Shadow even more powerful than Hyper Perfect Nazo. Even after being destroyed by Shadow, he would still form himself into another ring, which Eggman would find and regenerate his body with biomechanics, turning him into Chaos Nazo. Alright, let's do this. Godzilla Hell versus Sonic the Hedgehog. Godzilla in Hell is slightly weaker than Godzilla Earth, and his height is literally just the average Godzilla height. Godzilla's immortal, so he can last practically forever. Theoretically, Sonic couldn't even kill Godzilla just because of how he can reincarnate all the time. He will just keep coming back and back for more, eventually killing Sonic in the end, I guess. During his beam clash with Space Godzilla, he destroyed the Moon and Earth system. Godzilla, with his angelic abilities, casually one-shotted Space Godzilla. This will be a hard-fought battle between Sonic and Godzilla. If Sonic can somehow get into his super state, Super Sonic can finally pulverize Godzilla until there's nothing left. Until Godzilla just reincarnates again, and then the fight would start over and over again, and it would probably just end up as a tie. I'm going to give this victory to Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog wins.
You guys are all over the place, aren't you?
Can we just discuss how bad Sonic Forces' story premise was? Just the fact that Sonic was tortured on the Death Egg for almost 6 months straight. He had no bruises, no blood, no wounds, he had no black eyes apparently. It was just fine and dandy and he was in good spirits when he was fighting Zarbok. He was tortured for 6 months straight. He had no mental trauma or anything. And in going to Frontiers, he still had that PTSD. That would be a good dynamic for Sonic. This has got to be the worst plotline in the entire story. Sonic Forces wanted to be a little bit more mature. They couldn't go too far with the mature themes though. If they showed Sonic with wounds, that would not go down with the general public. They would not like that. Sonic Forces would get an even bad rap. Alright, let's do this. Let's talk about Tails' character development between Sonic Adventure, Sonic Forces, and Sonic Frontiers. During Sonic Adventure and Tails' story, Tails was learning to be more independent away from Sonic, as well as Amy, but Amy wanted to actually show it. Tails also had this development where he wanted to improve himself a little bit more. In fact, he fought Chaos in multiple forms. He even faced Eggman, who threatened him too, telling himself that he wasn't scared, and he saved Station Square that day. What's worse is during the events of Sonic Forces, Tails' mindset was a little bit shattered, and he was scared. But this doesn't explain why he should be carrying before Chaos. This is Chaos Zero too. He faced Chaos 4, which was relatively easy. This is in a time of war where you have to be brave, and he just wasn't. Luckily, Tails was saved by classic Sonic, his baby daddy. But now in Sonic Frontiers, he is becoming more braver by the cutscenes you see in that game. He is improving slightly, but I need to see a little bit more from Tails if I want to know that he's going to be a great character moving on. Alright, let's do this. SCP-3812 versus the Sonic Universe. SCP-3812 is extremely aggressive. He can alter reality at will. He could solo the entire Sonic universe if he so wanted to. These altercations are so bad that the people that are infected by this SCP have no idea that they're affected, and when they realize, it's almost too late as they've erased from the entire timeline or reality they live in. His influence is so unbearable that it kills anyone that comes in contact with him. That's how powerful his alterations are, meaning if Sonic and his friends came in contact with him, the entire universe is practically doomed, depending on how bad the entity's mental state is. He beats the entire Sonic universe with little ease, bro. There's no containment measures because it can just warp reality whenever it wants. 3812 cannot be tranquilized, meaning their efforts to tranquilize his freedom of movement is downright impossible. It doesn't matter what universe you use for Sonic the Hedgehog, it transcends all of reality and fiction. SCP-3812 wins. Alright, let's do this. Let's talk about the ending of Sonic and the Secret Rings. At the climax of Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic ultimately defeats a RJG and gets 3 wishes out of it. He also gets a 4th wish from Sarah. This 4th wish made no sense when it came down to plot-wise. Let's break down the wishes that Sonic had granted. These wishes were from a RJG, obviously. Bring Sarah back to life, restore the book to its original state, and for the RJG to be trapped in the lamp forever. Pretty normal wishes as you would suspect. His last and final wish would be the 4th wish. This comes off as a reply to Sarah's crying. He wishes for a mountain of handkerchiefs. Why handkerchiefs of all things? He wished for a bunch of tissues, so you can cry as much as you like. That's literally what he said. To me, this was just utterly stupid. It created a massive dump of tissues, which the people of the village would have to clean up. I don't know what the Sonic team writers were thinking about this whole entire plotline, but it did not work. I don't know, what do you guys think?